I am live. There we go. Well, I was trying to set this up on Facebook, and I went through XSplit Broadcaster. Excuse the ambient noise from outside of the construction project going on. I have to sort of try to do all this at once. Anyway, I've got my Canon XA30 as my primary camera. I've got three sources of light, three light stands going with two soft boxes and an additional LED light. If I wanted to, I could open up the windows and get some ambient natural light coming in off my patio. And I'm recording with a Procaster microphone into my Zoom 8.6 audio device. So I'm pretty sure I'm getting good quality audio, good quality video. Now it's attacking the platform. I did some, as I said, some streaming on Facebook using XSplit Broadcaster, which allowed me to do scenes, and I was doing trying to put some scenes in. For those of you who may be following me as for about the Oregon Ducks, I retired from reporting about in April of 2018. So this is the second season which I'm not following. However, I do watch the Ducks, as I am that is my alma mater, and so I've followed them on television, both in football and basketball. This week, of course, they're playing California Dotson Stadium with kickoff at 5 p.m. and the game will be broadcast on Fox. So if you're watching that, if you're interested in watching the game, that's when it'll be. So that's 5 p.m. Pacific time or 8 p.m. Eastern time on Fox. So anyway, but what the point of this broadcast is about me becoming more familiar now because of the configuration of my work area. I have the camera off here. And I have to look over here at the monitor to see, sort of monitor what I'm doing. But, everything looks good. At some point, I should probably try to do a little tutorial because since I retired, well, even before retiring, I got more into photography and study of lighting. Those of you who may have followed me know that I did podcast with Kevin Wade. So that's where we really refined the audio portion, and that's why I'm using this particular microphone. Again, I apologize for the ambient noise, but in any event, some of the things I came across is, trying to figure out, and I think that a lot of you probably will have experienced the same sort of thing particularly if you're using an XA30, which is a professional grade video camera, and using one of these things, which is a Sekonic light meter. This is the low end light meter, not the low end in terms of capability, but in terms of price. You get these Sekonic light meters. You can pay $1,000 or more for one of these things. This one retails around $150, but a very useful thing. But I rely on light meters, particularly when I'm using my Canon 7D Mark II. When I'm taking photographs, because it's just a really handy item to have, and I try to shoot my digital photos as if I was shooting film. That is to say, I try to, if I have some sort of photo I want to take, I'm not blasting away trying to take several photos to figure out which one comes out right. I try to take one exposure and have the photo preset so everything comes out right. Well, so that's the sort of thing I also sort of experience when I use my XA30, the video camera. But the one thing, if you know much about light meters, or if you're not familiar with light meters, what you have to do when you set the light meter up is that you have to set an ISO, or if you're old school film users, ASA, and that's the sensitivity of the exposure. Then what you are trying to seek is the aperture or f-stop and the shutter speed, which is generally I always think of this as the aperture is like your eyeball, how big the eyeball is. With less light, it's going to be bigger to allow more light coming in. If it's really bright, your eyeball gets smaller to so that you aren't overwhelmed by the light. And shutter speed is sort of like how quickly you blink. That's a very simplistic way of explaining it, but it's sort of accurate. And but on an XA30, there is no ISO. So for the longest time, I tried to figure out, oh, gee, how do you measure light if you don't have an ISO? Well, like in this Sekonic, what you do is you scroll down when you have the setting on. You're looking for f-stop or frames per second, and you set it based on your frame rate of your camera. And then that, once you have the frame rate set, like in this case, I have it about 59 point something at 60 frames per second. And so when I take a reading, it comes out to 2.8, and so I'm able to set my f-stop at 2.8 and sort of adjust the shutter speed in this camera and the gain to sort of come out. And then I use the zebra stripes to sort of tell me when I've got too many hot spots. So I think, and I'm looking here on the monitor, it looks like I've got pretty good resolution. So hopefully, as it goes out on the live stream, it's going to remain the same. And so, this is obviously I'm sort of in a dark place, and so that's why I've got all this continuous lighting, as a flash obviously would not work with a video camera. So if I had my 70 Mark II set up in place of the XA30. The problem with the ISO is not such a big deal. After all, you just set it and you record and set the frame rate, of course. But you measure. And I've experimented with it, and I'm going to have to go do a little more experimenting with it if I can measure the light based on how I would measure it for a still, or if I would have to be more concerned about the frame rate. So anyway, that's and I've looked on YouTube to sort of try to answer that question. And my question was, what is the ISO for this XA30? And for all intents and purposes, it's I don't know. It doesn't have an ISO. That's what but it's the where this is sort of a real technical issue. So if I had light on this and I was using ambient light, and this measures say this measured f f 2.2 with the light coming in at ISO 100. And so then I would measure over here, and it's going to be some stops different, probably one or two stops different, because this will be on the shade side, to be in contrast in the shade side. And so what I'm trying to figure out is how much light to put over here on this side to even it out. Anyway, that's a real brief technical explanation, which is probably not explained very well. But my whole point of doing this video was not really to get into that. My whole point was see if I could do a YouTube video. So anyway, I've rambled on long enough. I'm going to go ahead and close this out. I want to I was using XSplit Broadcaster, and it has a nice feature of being able to put scenes in. And what scenes do is like I could have a background, and I can insert photos, and theoretically I can insert audio, like a little intro and exit audio piece when I'm starting the video and when I'm going to end the video, and have little sound effects of when I want to put those in. Facebook, for some reason, didn't play the video, and I'm suspecting Facebook didn't because they probably were, were probably had their little spy bots went out and determined that there was a possible copyright infringement, even though YouTube, the music portion I got came from YouTube, when free to users, that you can complete a video and use this little audio track, and there's no copyright infringements. But Facebook sometimes, I believe, will do that. Copyrights are in producing videos can be a real tricky thing. So anyway, that's what I'm up to. So I'm going to a football game tonight, a high school game, Milwaukee versus, I think, who are they playing? Not Tumwater. They played Clackamas played Tumwater last. Tumwater came all the way down to Clackamas last week. Milwaukee plays over at the old Clackamas High School, Alder Creek Junior High. Milwaukee High is the field is now where they moved in temporary modules as they rebuild the high school, and that's where the kids go to school, and the football teams goes over to the old Clackamas High School stadium. Great facility for a high school game. That's where I'm going to go tonight. Tomorrow, the Ducks against Cal, kickoff at 5 p.m. on Fox. So until next time, this is Steve. I will talk to you later.